It started as a funny prank, or at least that's what they claimed. My wife and her friends had spent weeks planning it, or so they told me afterward. I was naive enough to believe them. I trusted her. The hotel was cold, sterile, a building that looked like it had been frozen in the 1980s. She smiled sweetly as we checked in, chatting casually while her friends hovered in the background. "You're going to love this weekend," she said, squeezing my hand. I laughed, unsuspecting, completely unaware of what they had planned. Later that night, I woke to the sound of laughter echoing through the hallway. My eyes snapped open, and I realized I was alone in the room. Confusion turned to horror as I tried to sit up and found my wrist bound tightly to the bedposts. Panic surged through me, hot and suffocating. My wallet was gone. My phone was gone. My passport? Gone. Then I heard the car outside. Screeching tires, laughter, her voice ringing to the open window. Good luck. They drove off, leaving me stranded 1,000 miles from home, helpless and humiliated. I remember sitting there for what felt like hours, the weight of betrayal pressing down on me. Not just the physical restraints, but the emotional one, the realization that the woman I had married, the one I loved, found joy in my suffering. I felt foolish, naive, and small, but something changed that night. I swore to myself I would never be vulnerable again, never let someone use my trust as a weapon. I called it survival. I called it clarity. I called the beginning of a different life, one where I was in control. The next few months were a blur. I took odd jobs, learned to navigate the world alone, and slowly rebuilt my life from scratch. Every step I took, every door I opened, I carried that night with me, not as a burden, but as fuel. I learned to read people better, to anticipate deception, to guard my heart and my wallet alike. And then I got smart, really smart. Investments, business deals, careful maneuvers. I built something no one could take away. A life of security, wealth, and independence. 5 years later, I had everything I needed. But more importantly, I had control. I never went back. I refused to answer calls, ignored texts, and blocked all attempt at contact. But fate has a strange way of catching up. It was a charity gala downtown, a black tie event filled with the city's social elite. I was there to negotiate a deal, not to be reminded of the past. Yet there she was, my wife, smiling, radiant, and completely unaware of who I had become. And there were her friends, still laughing, still smug, still believing they had power. I let them approach, calm, composed, and entirely in command of myself. "Well," she said, trying to inject sweetness into her voice, "it's been a long time." "Yes," I replied, my tone measured, cold but polite. 5 years, actually. Plenty of time for reflection. Her smile faltered. "Jason, you've changed." "I had to," I said. "After what happened, I couldn't afford not to." There was a pause, a subtle shift in the air. The friends exchanged nervous glances. For the first time, I saw uncertainty flicker in her eyes. The same uncertainty I had felt the night they left me stranded. Power had shifted. Over the next few minutes, we talked in public, but every word was carefully calculated. I didn't need to raise my voice, threaten, or reveal all I had accomplished. They could see in my posture, the confidence in my movements, the quiet assurance that nothing could touch me now. Later, after the gala, I walked away and never looked back. Not because I hated them, but because revenge wasn't necessary. Life itself had been a lesson, and the lesson was complete. They had underestimated me, just as they had before. But I was no longer the man who could be tied to a bed, stranded, and laughed at. I had built a life that could not be shaken. I had learned the true value of trust, betrayal, and resilience. And I had learned that the most satisfying triumph isn't punishment. It's proving, silently and relentlessly, that you can rise above. 5 years later, I had everything. Wealth, freedom, and the knowledge that no one, not even the people I once loved, could ever strip me of my dignity again. And every so often, when I hear laughter in the distance or a familiar voice, I smile quietly, knowing they can never touch the man I have become. I never went back, and I never will.